Creep is a found footage horror film released in 2014. The film follows the story of a videographer who is hired by a man named Joseph to film his life for a day. This movie is giving real big vlog energy. If I could use one word to describe this movie, it would be tense. This movie left me feeling tense from beginning to end. Creep is a true psychological thriller. I don't know anyone who's watched this movie and hasn't walked away feeling uneasy. This movie is actually so genuinely disturbing that I had to watch several episodes of Adventure Time for like a week after I saw this, and I'm not joking. The main character, Joseph, immediately pulls you in with this heartwarming and tear-jerking story about how he has terminal cancer and his wife is pregnant. So that is the entire reason that he's filming this vlog, because he wants to have something to show his son since he only has 2 months left to live and he probably won't get an opportunity to watch his son grow up. But as the day goes on, it transforms from this cute, emotional vlog that he's doing for his unborn son. It starts turning into something that is increasingly unsettling and bizarre. Creep will make you feel like you are in fact going mad along with the characters. I don't know about you all, but for me, I don't really experience a lot of movies that can provide that element of suspending reality. But Creep definitely does that. Every feeling that the videographer Aaron felt, I felt. I really want to give this film 0 golden film reels because of how uneasy it made me feel. But damn it, it did its job. That is exactly what it was meant to do. So 5 golden film reels for this movie. I highly suggest adding this to your list of watches for this month. There is also a Creep 2, but I'm gonna be real, I have not seen it because Creep 1 messed me up so much that I don't even know if I'm ready for Creep 2 yet. Runtime for Creep is about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and at the time of this recording, you can find Creep 1 and Creep 2 on Netflix. Everything from this point on will contain spoilers for Creep, so if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want spoilers, save this video and come back after you do. But before you go, make sure you like this video so I know you enjoyed it, and leave a comment if you have something to say. Okay, so 1K was not enough to film this vlog. No amount of money would have been enough to film this vlog. As a member of the Black delegation, my BS meter be going off. My seeing red flags game is strong. The moment that Aaron got to this cabin in the woods, first off, the cabin in the woods was his first mistake. But the moment that he got to this cabin in the woods and Joseph wasn't around and he was calling him and he wasn't answering, and then he pops up and scares him at his car, that's when I would have been like, yeah, this is not going to be a normal everyday situation. Like, at that point, his spidey senses should have been tingling. But even if they were not, he definitely should have been tingling at the point where Joseph starts having pretend tubby time with his son. Like, I get the sentiment, but I'm not about to sit here and record you having pretend bath time with your son. Like, it's just not going down. Or maybe I would. See, that's the great thing about this film. It kind of has such a slow build and a slow burn that you're like, that was a little weird what he just did. And then it happens again and you're like, okay, that was also a little weird. And then it happens again and you're like, that was also kind of weird. But your mind is gonna try to rationalize it. At least mine does. My mind is always gonna be like, yeah, everything is strange, but also don't be paranoid, girl. Like, maybe he's just a little eccentric. Also, you have to layer that on top of the fact that he is a dying man who knows that he's dying. He's about to have a baby that he's not going to be around for. He has a lot of emotions going on, so maybe that is causing him to act weird. And who are we to judge him for that? Even that scene when they were in the woods and Joseph kind of walks off and Aaron's looking for him and he's like, I can't find him. And then he pops out and scares him again. Instinct is going to tell you to be like, what the hell is wrong with this man? But the rational side of your brain is going to be like, okay, he's just playing too much, or, you know, he just plays around too much, and you're going to write that off. And in reality, you should have been like, what the hell is wrong with him? Because there's very much something wrong with him. Aaron does have that official moment of going, okay, something actually isn't right. And he does try to leave at that moment, but Joseph, being the manipulator that he is, talks him into going in and having one final drink to kind of celebrate the completion of the vlog, I guess. Now this is when we get arguably one of the most bizarre scenes in the movie. It's pitch black and it's a really long scene, and it is Joseph recounting the true story of Peachfuzz, which is the mask. And he starts going into all this detail about how he used this furry mask basically to fulfill a furry fantasy that his wife had. And at this point, Aaron is like, yeah, bro, I didn't need to hear that story, and also I gotta go. So he actually does drug Joseph in an attempt to leave, but Joseph is like superhuman or something because he keeps waking up from the drugs. When he finally does get him to pass out and he's looking for his keys, Joseph actually gets a phone call from who all of us think is his wife. but it turns out that it's actually his sister. So at this point, we all realize that not only was he making up a wife, but now we know that that son story isn't true, which just brings me back to the tubby time. I'm sorry I gotta go back to that, but how bizarre is the tubby time knowing that he isn't even about to have a son? Like, that was just strange. Like, you just wanted to get in a tub and you wanted me to watch you in a tub at this point. Now, his sister could have said a whole lot of things, but what she actually said was,
"Listen, I'm gonna recommend that you go ahead and just leave. Right now."
What the fuck's going on?
Nothing. You just go ahead and exit the house. You will be fine.
Lady, I'm trying to leave. I can't find my fucking car keys.
Okay, that's okay. Just give me the address of where you are, and then just walk out of there right now. Just keep walking, okay?
which I gotta be honest, is probably the last thing that you want to hear from somebody when you are trapped in the middle of the woods with someone who you now know is a known psychopath. Which, you know what, I just put together right now the fact that that Peachfuzz story wasn't about his wife because he doesn't have a wife, which means that that story was about his sister, and so that sexual fantasy was about his sister, and I will not be unpacking that in this video. Now, in this situation, Aaron did something that I can't say I would have done, and that's telling the unwell person that he knows they were lying and that they are in fact unwell. I think in this situation, I either would have done what the sister said and I start bucking it down the hill, or I would have continued to go along with the story and kind of placate them and pacify them until such time that I could find my keys and I could get away. Now, Aaron does eventually get away, but we know that he doesn't really get away because Joseph then starts sending packages to his house, which I think is another major turning point of the film. It's one thing for someone to be creepy in kind of a neutral space, but when someone starts to invade your personal space, you really do start to feel violated by that. Sending someone home videos of you digging holes and burying presumably dead bodies is definitely a little intimidating. And then we get this scene of Joseph standing at Aaron's front door and Aaron doesn't even see him. And then we get an even creepier scene of Joseph cutting off a piece of Aaron's hair while he's asleep. And that just adds to the uneasy feeling that this film is great at providing. Now, the ending of this movie does not leave much to be desired. We get another really long scene, and this is probably my favorite scene out of the movie, even though it is the scene that kind of solidified the creepiness of this movie for me. When I watch it from a cinematic point of view, and I am in no way a director, but when I watch it from a cinematic point of view, it's kind of a genius scene. We have Joseph sitting along on this park bench, sitting by the lake. And the main thing that hit home for me with this scene is that it is filmed with no cuts. So we're watching it in real time, and it kind of takes us back to what I mentioned earlier of saying that we feel like we are going crazy right along with the characters. We are experiencing things in real time with Aaron. We are sitting on that park bench waiting for Joseph to show up. So yeah, we're watching this all play out in real time. It's probably like 45 seconds to a minute, but it feels like an eternity for both the audience and for Aaron. We see Joseph walk up slowly, pull out the Peachfuzz mask, prepare to pick up his axe, and then swing his axe down. And it really is so eerie. It's like watching a fucked up home movie, especially because afterwards we get to see Joseph's account of it all. And even in that moment, he goes, "Well, Aaron, why wouldn't you just turn around?"
Why didn't you at least look behind you? I mean, it just seemed dumb that you would just sit there.
Which is a fair question, but my question is, why would you show up at all? This man has already shown you that he's obsessed with you, he's stalking you, he's clinically insane. I wouldn't even show up to the park bench because this is not even a true public place. There's nobody around. Sure, he took precautions to set up the video camera and, have the speed dial. But doing that only helps you if you actually make it back to your car or if you have enough time to actually make the phone call. It does nothing for you if someone approaches you from behind. Aaron's character really is way too forgiving in this film, and I hate that for him because at the end of the day, it ended up being his demise. Joseph, on the other hand, is back at it again. The very final scene that we hear more than see is him on a phone call, and he's basically getting ready to set this up again, say, "Hey, come by, film a day in my life for me." He's trying to get his YouTube game up. And of course, this final scene is where we find out that this is not a one-off situation. We have a serial killer on our hands. Joseph opened up this cabinet, and he has VHS tapes as well as DVDs, which means not only has he done this to multiple people, but he's been doing this for years. He's now left VCRs and has moved on to DVDs. He probably has Blu-rays at this point. He might be streaming by now. After rewatching Creep for this video, I actually do think I want to watch Creep 2, but I really don't want to watch it alone. Maybe we should have a movie night. Y'all let me know if that's something y'all would be into, because I kind of want to see it. I need to know how his character continues to develop. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on Creep, and if you've seen Creep 2, what were your thoughts on that? Did it leave you feeling uneasy as Creep 1 left me feeling? If you want to keep in touch outside of this video, subscribe to my channel or come hang out with us over on Discord, and I'll see you next time. Subscribe. Released in 2012. That's not true. Did I say 2012? Bitch, 2012? That's not even a year. And if you've seen Creep, because of how easy, no, I know. Yeah, I would have definitely said something if she had not. Because Joseph starts is
better at Coachella. I went to see Chica, she went to CC trip. Perfect. I took a seat on the ice, cold on. She handed me an ice blue bong.